In the previous video, you guys saw different ways or different forms of lines, correct? Let's continue with that. Now, in this one, what we are looking at three different forms of lines. Okay, another three different forms of lines, you can call it. Now, in this one, the very first one, what we have is what we call as the slope intercept form. This you guys have actually seen it before, y is equal to mx plus c, that particular part. But, we'll look at it in much more detail. Now let's discuss about the slope intercept form. Okay, so this is what we call as the slope intercept form. Now here I want you to understand the meaning of two important words here. One is the slope, one more is the intercept. Now by now you guys are very comfortable about what is slope, how do we calculate, what are the properties, everything. So I'm not going to go in detail for the slope. Now let's go in detail as to what is an intercept. Okay, now for this one, what we do is we are going to take a line, any random line, and we'll see what is the meaning of that intercept. Okay, now consider this particular line here. So in this, suppose say this is the line. Now for this particular line, slope, anyway, we are not looking at slope, but a very important point is intercept. Now the meaning of the word intercept is that, see, intercept meaning what? To stop or where it is going to cross or cut. That's the whole point of the meaning of intercept. Now, in straight lines point of view, the meaning of intercept is where the line cuts one of the axes, or it can cut both the axes, actually speaking. So, in this example, the line is cutting both x as well as y axis, correct? The point where it cuts the y-axis, we call that, or the distance, we call it as the y-intercept. And where it's going to cut the x-axis, that is what we call the x-intercept. So in this particular form, what we have is, let's assume that the point where it cuts the y-axis, let's call that point as 0, c. Fair enough? Now the next one, what we have, the point where it cuts the x-axis. The point where it cuts the x-axis. Assume that this point is A, so assume that this point is B. Say this point is going to become x, 0. Now, before we come to the equation of the line, first let's try to understand the meaning of this intercept. So, from point O to point A, this distance is going to be c units. Suppose if c is positive, then the line is above the x-axis. In other words, the line cuts the y-axis above the x-axis. In other words, the line crosses the y-axis above the origin. Suppose if c is positive. If c is negative, it's going to cut below the origin. Clear? If x-intercept is negative, it's to the left side of origin. If that is positive, it's to the right side of the origin. That means this intercept is going to give you the position of the line in the coordinate plane, correct? The position. If c is positive, you know it's above the origin. And if c is positive and also the x-intercept is positive, that means the line is somewhere in the first quadrant types. Because c is positive, it's above. X-intercept is also positive, so it's to the right. Correct? So in this case, anyway, we are looking at a general case. Here, what we have is if c is greater than 0, then this is above the x-axis. Same way, if c is less than 0, this is below the x-axis. For x and the y-intercept, we got to know, okay, c value, positive, negative, whatever it is. Now let's look at it in the same for the x-intercept. Now for the x-intercept, what we have, it's the distance, correct? Which is basically x. But to get the value of x, what we can do is we'll use the concept of slope. Okay? M is equal to delta y by delta x, correct? So here it's going to become c minus 0 divided by 0 minus x. Correct? So in this case, m is equal to minus c divided by x. So x is the point, isn't it? So what is x value then? X is equal to minus c by m. That means this value of x is nothing but minus c by m comma 0. Now since it is negative, it is to the left of the origin. Suppose if minus c by m is positive, then it's towards the right. Clear? So we understood what is the meaning of that intercept. Intercept is going to give you the position of the line, where it is situated. Slope, anyway, you guys know the slope. Slope is the orientation, the angle, isn't it? Now that we have these two particular values, now let's try to calculate what is the equation of this line. All right. For the equation, we'll use the slope point form. Very easy. Now the point is what? 0 comma c, right? So since we have 0 comma c, we can do, what's the formula? Y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1. Y minus c is equal to m into x minus 0. So y minus c is equal to mx, or what do you get? Y is equal to mx plus c. This becomes the equation of the line. So this line y is equal to mx plus c. Now from this equation, this is what we call as the general equation of a straight line, which I have told you this before we discussed about the forms. But now you know how it is derived. Fair enough? This is what we call as the slope intercept form. Now let's go to the next form of a straight line. The next form of a line is what we call as the intercept form. Okay, this is what we call as the intercept form. In this intercept form, what we are trying to do, we are trying to figure out only with the help of intercept. Now that you guys know what is intercept, how are we going to get the equation of a line with the help of only intercepts? Okay, we'll look into this right now. Now first let's draw a line which which makes an intercept in the both x and y axis. So let's assume that this is the line. Okay, this is the line, and this line is cutting both x and y axis, correct? Now here, say the 2 points are A and B. Now the coordinates of A, let's call it as, okay, or maybe I'll just change the value. Say the points where it cuts the x and y axis, say this point is A, say this point is B. So this becomes A comma 0, and this becomes 0 comma B. Correct? A comma 0 and 0 comma B. That means this distance is A, this distance is B. Correct? Now we'll use normal slope, point, everything. First let's calculate the slope. So m is equal to, see what do we have? B minus 0 divided by 0 minus A. So m is equal to minus B by A. Now slope point form, y minus y1. So I'll take this particular point. Okay, so we'll have y minus 0 is equal to minus b by a into x minus a. Cross multiply, ay is equal to minus bx plus ab. Take it the other way, bx plus ay is equal to ab. Now divide everything by ab. That means what we are doing, we are dividing everything by ab. Now bx, so look at this one. Suppose if you do bx divided by ab, b and b cancels out. You just end up with x by a, correct? So finally this is going to become x by a plus y by b is equal to 1. Now this is the equation of a line in the intercept form. A and b are the intercepts. Just with the help of intercepts, we can calculate what is the equation of the line. And this is the equation of the line. Clear? Now we'll do one more form, what we call as the normal form. See, the next one is normal form. Now to understand the normal form again, so first thing what we'll do, we are going to write one particular line like this. Now normal is basically what we have whenever you write a perpendicular to a line. That is what we call as a normal. Okay. So that means here what we do for this particular line, we are going to draw a perpendicular. Okay. And that to this perpendicular has to come from the origin. For this line, if you have to draw the normal, see, it's going to be something like this. Again, I want you to be very careful in understanding that this is not a bisector. It's just a perpendicular. It's more like an altitude for a triangle types. Okay. So now once we have this one, let's call this is O. Say this is A, or let's take this value as A. Say this is B. Say this point is P. Now OP is a distance, right? Let's call that OP distance as P, small letter P. Fair enough. Now here, this makes an angle of alpha, some value alpha. Okay. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the value here in terms of the alpha. Okay. And in terms of the normal form. Fair enough. Now in this case, see, you know that this is 90 degree, correct? And you know that this value is A and you know this value is B, isn't it? Now guys, what we'll do is we'll take normal trigonometry ratio. That is in triangle OPA. If you take OPA, see that alpha is there. Take cos alpha. See, cos alpha is what? Adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. Correct? So for alpha, the adjacent side is going to be OP. Correct? So we have OP divided by hypotenuse is OA. So now what do we have? OA is equal to OP divided by cos alpha, or you can say P by cos alpha. Let it be whatever it is. Now next thing what we have, or you can write A is equal to P by cos alpha. Well and good. Now we'll do the same thing in the other triangle. That is in triangle OBP. Take, okay, now here you need to understand what is alpha, what is sine alpha and everything. You know alpha here. That means this angle is going to become 90 minus alpha. Correct? So this angle becomes alpha. So this is alpha. So for this one, let's take sine alpha. Sine alpha is equal to OP divided by 90 degree OB. So OB value is B. So we can write B is equal to P by sine alpha. So we got A, we got B, correct? Let's substitute these values. We substitute, and we are going to substitute where? We are going to substitute in the equation x by A plus y by B is equal to 1. What is A? A value is nothing but P by cos alpha. Substitute x divided by P by cos alpha plus y by P by sin alpha is equal to 1. The cos alpha sin alpha goes to numerator. X cos alpha by P plus y sin alpha by P is equal to 1. See, LCM if you take and if you take the P on the other side, finally the equation becomes x cos alpha plus y sin alpha is equal to P. This is what we call as the normal form. Clear? So these are the 7 forms, whatever you have learned. Actually, of the 7 forms, vertical, horizontal, you guys already know what it is. Slope point form, extremely important. Then the 2-point form. Then we have the slope intercept form, y is equal to mx plus c. Then we are going to have the next form, which is the intercept, x by a plus y by b is equal to 1. That's also very, very important. Then finally, the last form is the normal form. Clear? Please go through these videos again and again to understand what form is there and what is the equation for it and how we are going to get the equation for that particular form.